Welcome back to another episode of the Biker PM. I'm your host, Anthony Pavlich, and today we have part two of special advice I've taken from past guests. We're going to start out with James Pollard and Ben Aston talking about how important processes and project management is to your business.
Don't be afraid to implement systems in your business. You'll probably get it wrong at first. That's okay. You want to consistently improve, tweak, optimize, and don't be afraid to get help. Whatever you do, don't be afraid to get help, because just like we just said, where there's someone out there who would enjoy it, that is totally true. And if you need someone to give you a little nudge, even if that's it, even if it's just a little nudge, it will help you move forward in your business.
Yeah, I think the advice I'd give is make sure you initiate and plan the project properly. I think as a project manager, you need a vision of how you're going to get from A to B. We talked about this right at the beginning. It's like the difference between it being an individual sport and a team sport. I see the project manager's role as a visionary, as a leader, as someone who can see the path from A to B and help the team get there. And I think as junior project managers or people new to project management, they can often think, well, we're in this together. I'm in a team, but it needs someone to step up and take leadership and take ownership and responsibility of delivering value at the end of the project. And everyone will be looking to you as the project manager to do that, whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
So I think that the initiation and the planning process, having a vision and idea yourself of how you get from A to B, is super, super important. And whether or not you're planning that out on a Gantt chart, as we've been talking about, or even just on a whiteboard, sketching it out,
Yes.
what's important is that you have an idea of how you're going to get there and the steps and the process that you're going to follow. And I think if you have that vision, your ability to lead people into that and explain and get buy-in from the team and stakeholders is going to be much, much easier for you.
Next, we're going to listen to Veronica, Kirin, and Alan Zucker. They're talking about seeking advice, finding those other mentors in your community, and making sure you get help from others.
Don't think about starting this business as if this is something brand new and nothing else that you've ever done in your life is relevant, because that's absolutely not true. Everything you've done is totally relevant. You just have to figure out how it fits in this new shape. Okay. And then find mentors, find coaches, find anybody who knows you well or who knows the business you're going into, and just get advice and suck it all in. And don't ever stop doing that. But especially when you're first starting out, you'll make it so much harder for yourself if you don't talk to people who are way further ahead of you. I mean, they say success leaves clues, and why just like hunt and peck on the internet to try to find the answers when you can literally ask another human being who's in your industry, who's been through it all, and can say, no, that POS doesn't work. This one does. This system will make it easier for you. Like I have clients who are transitioning off of QuickBooks into simpler systems because QuickBooks is too bloated for what they're doing, even though it's like the name brand, right? You don't learn these things unless you've been doing it a while. So find people to advise you, and just in those dark hours, remember that you've got what it takes. You couldn't be doing this otherwise.
I really think, they tell you one of the things that they teach you to do as an entrepreneur is, even if you're running a small business, is get your, quote unquote board of directors. And I think that board of directors seems very intimidating to all of us, but I think getting our board of advisors and having people that we can reach out to in lots of ways, just for technical support. What happened, what do I do about this with my taxes? Or how do I market myself this way? The tactical work you need. And I think even more importantly is having people around that will encourage you and support you, both when things are going great and also when things are not doing so well. And having those connections, I find is really, as much as I don't like this phrase, it really can become a force multiplier, because you really never know where that next opportunity is going to come from. And, I've been recommended to do work with people just in the most random ways. And it was people that I had either worked with in the deep past, or people that, that had actually worked for me, years ago. And it's just funny how that all comes around. So I think getting that connection, getting those people around you that will support you, is really one of the most important things.
And now we're going to listen to John Hill talking about how to do what you like and make sure that you scale your business to fit you.
There's so much hype around startups and entrepreneurship and everything else like this currently. And there's the whole Gary V hustle 24/7 kind of thing, which I don't agree with. I think that can be toxic and very, very bad for, your ability to do this long term. But think about where you want to be and what does that successful business look like, because that means different things to different people. And I have a friend who has an email marketing company, and he's really, really good at what he does, and he loves to write email and he loves to write copy. We were talking about his goals, and he told me that his goal was to be at 100K in revenue each month, and his average offer is about $3,000. So I said, you're going to have 33 clients, right? Whenever you hit this 100K mark, that you're saying is the goal. He said, yeah. I said, do you like writing copy? And he goes, man, I love it. That's the whole reason why I started the business. I said, well, for you to manage that kind of client load, you're not getting to do any of that writing anymore. You are managing the people that are doing that writing. And if that's what you want, then go out and get it. But if you need to have some outlet towards the work itself, because that's what spurred you to start your business in the first place, maybe you don't need to be as big. Maybe you need to adjust. There's a lot of people out there who start businesses and get it above a certain point, and then they don't continue on as the CEO anymore, right? Because they understand that they just want to do the work, right? These things don't get talked about because it's not as sexy as, the unicorn stories, but it's all about knowing where you fit in, doing the things that you love to do, and either having accountability around the things that you don't want to do or getting that off your plate as soon as you realistically can.
Yeah.
Right. So kind of brings us back full circle. If you're, a lead gen person, a coach, a consultant, or whatever else like this, and you don't like selling, there are so many people who would literally line up to sell your offer. They need some coaching, they need some process, they need some technology, so that way everybody feels okay. But it's never been a better time to try to hand that off to somebody right now, as long as you do it the right way. So if you don't get value and personal excitement out of having sales conversations, I get that. That's most of my clients, honestly. But it still has to be handled, because sales is the lifeblood, right? If you don't have new deals coming in, and it's just not going to be sustainable, you can't hit any of your goals. So that's kind of my thing. Think with the end in mind, and if it's something you don't get value out of, try to get out from under it as soon as you can, but do it with process. Don't just delegate by abdication, because that never works.
Do you feel overwhelmed, overstimulated, and overworked? There's so much you need to do, but you don't know what the best way to do it is? And you're not sure where all your time goes each week? Jump on over to my website, pavproconsulting.com. You can download my free PDF, The 5 Proven Strategies to Steal Back Lost Time and Money in Your Business. And while you're there, you can book a free process discovery session, pavproconsulting.com. Move forward with confidence, focus, and productivity. And now we have Philippe, Danielides, and Flamant talking about how you take care of yourself and being resilient in your business.
One piece of advice is don't compare yourself to others. And in the case of specifically talking about being an entrepreneur, right? Don't compare yourself to people who are further down the path. Learn from them for sure, but comparing you and where you are right now to where you see other people are who have maybe been at this for 5-10 years is, to me, and has been a recipe for overwhelm and doubt. And when I'm overwhelmed and doubting myself, I don't take action.
I think, I've heard that the only person you should compare yourself to is yourself yesterday.
Oh, I like that. Yeah, absolutely. We're all on our own journeys. This is something that I, repeat to myself all the time, because it's easy for that thought of like, oh, I should be here by now, right? Or I'm behind. Living in New York City, it's on display all the time. I know we're not the only ones, but we're very measured and competitive here. So we're always looking to other people, and it's really easy to fall into that trap, but it's really more about relative progress, like you said, compared to you yesterday than it is to looking kind of like horizontally or out to the future to people who are on their own path. Learn from them, for sure, right? That's what coaching is also really helpful. It's to learn from other people's experiences, but you can learn from people without falling into the trap of comparison. And that's been the most important thing that I remind myself of. And usually when I get into a rut or get into trouble, it's because that's what I'm doing.
So maybe it's weird and counterproductive, but I would say entrepreneurship is the fast lane on the highway of personal growth. Every single crap, and excuse my French on this one, but every single crap that ever happened to you will come back to bite you in the ass during entrepreneurship. So it's really like, if you want to be an entrepreneur, you're going to be rejected so many times, and you're going to be triggered by so many different people in so many different ways, on so many different levels, that you will want to go into your mama's skirt and cry. This is the reality of entrepreneurship. You get pretty much as much rejection as artists do. So you need to be prepared for that. So what you need as an entrepreneur, resilience, and you need to treat it as a muscle. You strengthen it, you work it, you push it to its limit, you stretch it, and you work it again, and you start again the next day. Because resilience is what's going to make or break people. And this give us like the statistics on how many companies fail within their first 3 years, which is like a ridiculous percentage.
It's high.
Yeah, I hope it evolved, because it was close to 75%, I think. And what the difference between people who make it through the 3 years mark and people who don't make it is whether or not you can weather the storm. And when you get disappointed or rejected, how do you stand up, and get back on the horse the next day? And don't let the losses and the failures, like having that capacity of taking a failure, transforming it in lesson learned, and then enacting it in lesson lived, and getting back on the horse over and over again, no matter how many times you're being told no. And I would say another thing is like listening to what people actually want, because you can create the best thing. And again, that applies also with marketing. You can be the best copywriter. You can be a whiz with the algorithm for search engine optimization. You can be a whiz with ads. If you don't know who you're talking to, and if you don't know what they need, it's just going to fall flat. That's the reality of it.
And finally, I want to go out with a special message again from Veronica Kirin. I've had the pleasure of interviewing her twice this year so far. I'm going to let her finish us off today.
Be kind to yourself. Like right now, everything is different. Everything. There's no habit that you had at the beginning of 2020 that fits right now. So if things feel especially hard, if you're not sleeping that great, if you can't do your entire workload or you're out of work completely, don't beat yourself up for it. Do what you can. And then be grateful that you have the chance to walk through this moment, and you'll come out the other side and you'll know more than you did before. It's going to be okay.
Thanks for joining me for another episode of the Biker PM. I hope you liked this summary episode. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a comment. I'd love to hear what you think. And remember, if you're an entrepreneur that wants to be with like-minded individuals and improving their project management skills, join the Biker PM Facebook group. Until next time.